From the City of Angels in Los Angeles, welcome to all my listeners out there in Radio Land. I'm Dave, the Caregiver's Caregiver, at caregiverdave.com, along with my lovely co-host. Her name is Debbie Peterson, and we have an especially exciting show planned for you today. This is a good friend of mine. His story is very personal, and he wants to remain anonymous, so we're just going to call him John Doe. John has had a lot of loss in his life. A lot of friends and family have died, some of them through suicide, and he's going to share how he got through this. It's very, very difficult when family members take their own lives. John, welcome to the show. So great to have you here.
First and foremost, I think I'm called to serve, really. I didn't know that in the beginning. However, to be a servant, and I didn't realize that until my dad's funeral. I just didn't want to sit. I felt led to get up and just be comforting. I didn't want to be a pest to everybody, but I just wanted to just even touch them on the shoulder and somehow be encouraging. And just recently, my mom passed away, and I was doing the same thing, and I didn't plan that. Wasn't expecting that. I have 7 sisters, 4 older brothers. All my sisters said, "Okay, you're going to go up there and you're going to say this." I said, "No, well, are you going to say something?" I remember my mom's funeral last year, and all my sisters said, "No, that's why you're here. You're going to say something." Didn't plan that. However, the aftermath, after, days and weeks later, I got calls from my nieces and uncles, different family members. And which is, regardless of how I felt, or not wanting to feel or not wanting to say a word, it was a confirmation that I was able to help. Everything you said, I agree with, and you are absolutely right. You are gifted, and you are a servant, and everybody wants to be John's friend. I mean, that's that movie. It's not a movie, but it's a series. Everybody Loves Raymond. Well, everybody loves John. I never saw that. John's phone list he's got like more friends than you, me, and the whole football team combined. Wow. Everybody who meets him just wants to be their friend because he's such a servant and he's so helpful. And if you need him, he's there, And he's been going through, he had a automobile accident, work-related lately, and so he's in a lot of pain. He's seeing doctors and lawyers and all that stuff. He's not able to work, and it's driving him crazy. And he's getting a little pooch on him, and that's driving him crazy because normally, he's in great shape and he works hard, and anyone who is his boss, won't let him go and give him raises because there's nobody like him at all. And now he's kind of feeling helpless. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but tell us what you've been going through for the last, 3 months. Right. I think more than anything, the physical part, I'm not used to not getting up and wanting to, do something, I guess. Of course, you're right. I gained weight. I used to eat 3 doubles, no problem, But now I feel like I want to eat 3 doubles and I'm not able to. But, you work hard and, right? Work like a horse, eat like a horse. That's what the boss would always say. It's kind of, I'm not depressed, but it's sad. It makes me sad sometimes, Well, you're a man of faith, though, aren't you? How is your faith getting you through this tough time? Because sometimes we ask God, why is this happening? I mean, I feel so useless. Oh, yeah. My daughter mentioned that. It's not happened. It's not what happens. That famous cliche, not what happens to you, but what happens in you. And she says, "Dad, this is happening for you. You need to just relax. You've been working for many years, this construction job, and you're beating yourself up. Maybe could it be this is a sign, really?" The day of the accident was 1-year anniversary of my wife passing. And I know, people say coincidence, but for me, it was loud and clear. Yeah, even when that happened, I was not surprised. Yeah, surprised. I was in awe and just listening to her words. Really, she didn't really like this kind of work I did. Debbie, you got any questions from what you've heard so far?
I love the way that you talk about it's kind of like God just gives you something to do and you do it and God's giving it to you to do and it just comes. And that is a rare gift and a rare thing. It sounds a little bit like the Moses story. You didn't ask for this and you got it. So that's not really a question, but it's interesting how God talks through us sometimes it just happens like that.
Wow. Yes. Somebody recently just said that very thing about Moses, and I never. They were saying some details about the story, and I never read it. And I said, I saw the Ten Commandments. They go, no, no, it's not the movie. It's the scripture. What? Oh, I had said I don't know what. I don't have the words. I'm not able to say this. And it was at my another funeral, a friend of mine, and it's just a reoccurrence about Moses, and that's terrible. I apologize. I should know better. I should have read the story really.
Well, and Moses was the most humble man that ever lived.
I have a question, and it's one that's been eating at me recently. I have a close friend who died, and I'm her executor. And so I've been extremely busy working full time and taking care of her estate and running for the office of mayor and all kinds of stuff. And I find going to funerals difficult. I guess all of us do, but I tend to be kind of depressed afterwards, and I have trouble getting back into the rest of my life afterwards. And I really don't like going to them. I love the people, I love remembering them, and I want to support people. And I find myself wondering, as we age, we end up going to more and more and more. But I guess my question about that is, well, how do you do that? How do you do it?
First and foremost, I believe, even before I even go, I have to pray, really. I have to go off to the side and ask, I don't want to put my foot in my mouth, or not that I'm going to say anything. Sure enough, it seems like that when my brother passed, my sister said, "You're going to get up there." I go, "But I don't even like my brother." Sorry. I'm sorry. He was mean to me. But the prayer, and it's terrible to say that. I really, every time I hear his name, I would say something to myself, and how he treated me and what he did, and I would say to myself, "I don't like what he did. I don't like how he is. I don't like the person he is." So I remember just in his funeral, I had to pray. I go, "God, I don't want to say the wrong thing, and I don't know, maybe I'm not going to say a word." But sure enough, it happened. Actually, my sister called and said, "Your brother's dying. You need to call him." And I normally don't call him. I just see him at family get-togethers or birthdays. But this particular time, they knew he was dying, and I called him, and I said, "I'll go down there and see you." He said, "I don't want to see you. I don't want to see anybody," because of his condition, really. And I said, I'll call the kids. Let me call your kids. He said, "No, I don't want them to see me either. I want you to take care of all this." And I know we don't have time, but long story short, he asked me to take care of these matters. And he didn't want to be resuscitated. He just wanted to just pass. He mentioned this to me. So sure enough, when he was in the hospital, they said he doesn't have he's not going to make it through the night. Doctors came in. They said, who's the brother? They all came to me. And, we have a big family, and some of my family members really objected. They came up to me and said some things in front of the doctors. Said, "Look, we're not going to call the kids because this is your brother's wishes. If we call the kids, it's going to change everything." And they looked at me and asked me, "Do you want to call the kids?" I said, "No, this is my brother's wishes." It was very difficult. So I didn't call them. Of course, the prayer, I got to tell, I'm not emphasizing the prayer enough. But sure enough, my brother passed. Actually, he lived 3 more days. And after he passed, my other brother came up to me and says, "Now you're going to call his kids." And again, I was all alone, and I looked up and I said, "God, my Lord, how am I going to say this to the kids?" We have 2 daughters and a son. And
That's hard.
well, my sister called. Anyways, sure enough, they gave me his cell phone and his phone book, and all the kids' numbers had been changed for some reason or another. Anyways, by the time I got to my knees, he was crying. I couldn't even make out what she was saying. My niece was just crying and crying. I said, "Hon, I haven't told you what I wanted to say." She goes, "No, I'm sorry, Uncle. I haven't. We don't have your number. We don't have Grandma's number." Their mom had just passed the previous week.
So both their mom and their dad passed.
Yes, and she was so heartbroken that her mom had passed. And then I said, "Oh my goodness, I'm floored." Right, and I'm looking up. He said, "What is it?" And I said, "Your dad passed." And she says, "Oh, they're together now. They're together." It's almost like God diffused this thing, overwhelming mountain that I thought. And it was just so beautiful, really, how she said that, and how, part of me wanted to call my brother and say, "You see, look what happened." No. I didn't say that. I thought that. But more than anything, I'm reminded at these funerals. Like, we're going to a funeral this Thursday. A friend of mine, 55 years old, had a heart attack. Since then, the whole really, it's just a reminder to me that, we're just passing through. This life is light and monetary, right? There is a better place. There is. They're in peace, and we are in pain. And that's what I have to hold on to, really. Just the fact that we're not invincible. Well, in this life. Yeah. My mom would say we live two lives: the one you learn with, and the one you live with after that. Well, then later on she added, well, there's an eternal life, because there is beyond that we don't really talk much about.
Our audience are caregivers, and it was so funny. I told you when I asked you to come on the show, you said, "Well, I'm not a caregiver." I always talk about all those who don't think they're caregivers, but they really are. He's a caregiver to the world. I mean, every friend cared for them emotionally, mentally, spiritually, sometimes financially. And you have any advice for caregivers who are going through, the stuff that caregivers go through? I mean, my wife, since she broke her leg, she's basically an invalid now. Before, she was very independent. She could transfer herself. We travel a lot. And for 3 months, it's been a month now, so 2 more months, hopefully, she'll get to be independent again. But in the meantime, I'm helping her toilet with the Hoyer lift, and I am exhausted. And I had to finally take a break. 2 days ago, I went sailing for the whole day. Got my daughter to cover, for me in between the toiletries and stuff like that. And I'm always tired, and I realized how lucky I had it made for the last 27 years, because even though I'm a caregiver, my wife's very independent, even though she's paralyzed on one side and can't speak. But she makes up for it. She's more normal than a lot of normal people. But now my job has become 100 times harder. And so what do you say to the caregivers who are just feeling like they're at the end of their rope, wondering, is this ever going to end? Get depressed? I don't get depressed, but I've been tempted to. But because I know it's temporary, and I know that God helps me get through the day. What's your thoughts on that to other caregivers who are maybe struggling like you are?
I love what you just said, Dave. You asked for help. You did, whether you asked your daughter, you needed to get away, and you needed to. We don't want to do that. We don't want to ask for help. We don't want to. Dave, you helped me so many times, and there's times where I just feel lousy, because there's times when we need to ask. There's no shame in it. We need to get out of our own way, I guess, and just say, you know what, I need some help here. And it's humbling. It is difficult, I know, but also the times I find myself exhausted, I'm trying to lean on my own. No, we cannot do it on our own. I believe more than anything, that old proverb, the flesh is weak, the spirit is willing. Only until then we rely on and yield to what He has for us. The Spirit of the Lord. He gives us things. He does. And you don't have to take my word for it. That's the only way I could wake up today and breathe. Every waking moment, I'm grateful.
So, John, I want to ask you some deeper questions. I happen to know that you've been through some really, really personal tragedies, close family members who have, maybe significant others who have, broken the relationship, which broke your heart, and got a lot of stress, and you had some physical problems as a result. And then God, I was going to say God forbid, but it already happened, so I can't say that. And then unfortunately, the person, their life, and that just really tore you apart. You're blaming yourself, whatever. Just talk about all of that. I don't want to put words in your mouth. That isn't the only person who committed suicide. You had a few of them, right? Close family members or close friends.
Yes.
We just want to help some people who are going through the same thing that you went through. And, a lot of people would become delusional, would become vegetables, would be become in a mental facility, would commit suicide themselves. All these options you did not do. You survived and you succeeded, and you're living somewhat of a normal life. I mean, nothing is perfect, but how did you get through this? They want to know.
I dated a couple of friends. They were friends first, and we became involved. Whatever their lives, I mean, I didn't know a lot of what they were going through, really. I mean, I thought I felt strength and when we were together, and then next you know, they take their own life by overdose. Well, different ways, but these people took their lives. I mean, how each time it happened several times to close friends.
How did that make you feel? Did you try to say, "Is it me?" Anyone who knows me kills themselves. I mean, the devil will tell us lies. He's the father of lies, right? He'll attack.
One brother that I got really close to, and he said, "I don't want to even hang around with you because it seems like everybody who comes close to you or near you dies, and I don't want to die yet." I said, "Why would you say that? I mean, this is a living person." But going back to the people that are gone, it felt like, what do you mean I felt like I got hit in the head with a sledgehammer? I mean, I felt pain on my head. I mean, I didn't get hit with a weapon of sorts, but I felt like I was, attacked with something physical. It felt, that it was physical. I don't know how to explain that. And whether it was on my head or the top of my head or on the being crushed, my body, it felt like it sudden. It was so all of a sudden, and then in another cases, it felt like I was in between a vice, getting crushed, getting smacked, just being crushed. Yeah, being crushed. Where I thought, that's it. This is the end for me. But
did you feel responsible somehow? Like, I could have done more. Is this my fault? Could I have stopped it? I mean, all those things that go through people's minds, and then the guilt.
Yes, and yes. However, I knew I didn't want to get it mixed up. What my sister said, the spirit man is stronger than the physical man. The spiritual man is stronger than the physical. And it was a fight, it was a battle, fight inside. Something I had to get out and walk and talk to somebody and put into practice what my brother had said. My older brothers would always say to me, you never talk. You never, you need to start talking. You're shy. You're dumb. I was disqualified, and I didn't even understand it at an early age. So I found myself, even my family now, they say you're overbearing. If somebody's coming over, please don't talk. They had to they had to brief me and say, okay, please consider this new person. We don't want to frighten them. It takes some time to get to know you. So a lot of times I wasn't even invited to family get-togethers and holidays. They were excluded. But they'd always make excuses for me. Oh, he's working, or this is his kind of line of work. He has to be at work all the time. But there was a lot. There's truth behind that. I did have to work. I did work a lot. Maybe I thought being dedicated. I used that to my advantage. Oh, I'm dedicated. I'm being dedicated to my job, and that's okay. I even sought counsel on this very thing about being dedicated to a job. And I had a minister say, yes, it's okay to be dedicated. There's nothing wrong with that. You can help your company you live with or work with. And I used that for years, really. But this happened before I get married, with these friends, and then even during, and then after. And it was very, I believe, really, I was an attack. But everybody goes through my dear friend of mine said to me, we all have our own customized journeys, tailor-made by the Creator, that we need to go through these things. There's a reason. We can't see it now, but there's a reason.
How has your faith helped you get through this? I mean, be in a romantic relationship with someone and then breaks up and then they commit suicide. I mean, my gosh, how do you handle that?
Thinking initially, it's you know, if you, it'll drive you crazy. If not you, put you in a place of wanting to start thinking thoughts that you're not supposed to. And this is, it's even going there, thinking about it, it's painful. So I purchased a motorcycle. I purchased a fast car. I not to put anyone else in danger, but I wanted to do different things to get my mind off of this.
Distracted.
And
Did it help?
maybe for a moment, but they would come back.
Talk to anybody? To any counselors or friends or mentors? Or
Not in the beginning. No, it took years to finally confide. I was very hesitant because of a lot of reasons. It wasn't until a brother, I needed to hear this part. I needed to hear these details that you're sharing with me, because it opened up something that he was holding on for years, and he had believed that when somebody takes their life, they're going straight to hell.
Hmm.
And there was another person that said, "You're not going to purgatory; you're going straight to hell." And to me, I thought that was rang a bell, because in catechism, I was told I'm not going to purgatory; I'm going straight to hell because of how I was, and I don't understand. I didn't understand that. Being misunderstood, from the sisters or the mother, or
I was raised Catholic too, and a lot of things they teach is not correct. When somebody, even someone who knows God, who knows Jesus, is in such a dark place that they take their life, according to the Catholics, that's a mortal sin. You're going to hell, but that's not true. The Bible talks about, the heart, and no man can see the heart, and to be so deceived by the enemy that he, convinces them to take their life. It's like they didn't know what they were doing. Like the insanity defense, you know what I mean? And God will understand and gives grace for that. That's
I appreciate that, because this brother who had said to me the story that somebody at his in the gathering went to him. There was a person who were friends of his family, and the gal came to him. Her father had taken his life, and she had come to him to talk to him, and she was broken, and she needed to share some things about the details of how she had found, or details about what happened. Well, he immediately wanted to say, "Okay, I want you to know, when somebody does this, they go to hell." He didn't know how to say that. He said he was going to tell her this, but then he believes that God, the Spirit, he was stopped. He said that this thing, or he didn't know it, and I didn't understand it because I didn't know about spiritual things really. But he believes he was stopped by this overwhelming thing that came all over his. And he was being a whole bunch of liquid or water, or he was thrown on him. He said he never felt this. He was right before he was going to tell this person this. And
guilt is common in this area. I had a stepbrother who committed suicide, and I was convinced that I could have prevented it, because I had an opportunity and I heard God tell me to tell him something, and I didn't tell him, but God told me to tell him. And that night, he killed himself. And boy, I was racked with guilt. And I know you must have been racked with guilt, especially if family members start accusing you, of saying, well, this is your fault. How did that affect you? And how did you get over that?
Well, it's still, I don't know if I forgave them. I forgive things that have been said to me and even done to me. I still love them, but I'm not invited, or I don't invite myself, or if there's a function, I don't go. I still love them and I forgive them, but it's not me saying it's okay what you said and what you did. It's not okay. That it's damaging, and I don't believe that they knew what they they're hurting. They're hurting also. It's hurt talking. It's hurt, pain, if anything. So, not to try to.
We are not responsible. We are not responsible for choices. We do what we can, but everyone has a free will. It's like a drug addict, right? You can't want it more than them to get off drugs. You can't want it more than, we had a daughter who, in her teen years said, I'm going to kill myself. I'm going to kill myself. And, well, we would miss you, but, we don't want you to do it. But you can't keep saying that as a threat that we can give you whatever you want, That would be, what do they call it, enabling bad behavior, tough love. And so it's sad. It's a sad thing. But a lot of people will use that to manipulate their loved ones. Give me what I want, or I'm going to kill myself. And that's not right. That is not right. And yet it happens all the time that loved ones, parents, husbands, wives, they're a slave to that other person because they use this as a manipulation tool. I mean, there's just so much to this topic.
Right.
Well, how does your faith play a part in the healing?
It's an ongoing. One of my family members said, "Why do you have to go to meet? Why do you have to go to this group? Why do you have to go to this ministry? Or why do you have to go to?" And my response is, "I don't have to go. I don't have to go. I need to go. It's part of this lifestyle of every day making this choice to not look at myself or what happened or what's going on, but
there are support groups for everything. There's support groups for drugs. There's support groups for gambling. There's support groups for sex addiction. There's support groups for suicide, whether you are thinking about suicide or whether your loved one committed it and you're dealing with the guilt. And so all those things help.
yes.
I think we've run out of time. I appreciate you coming on and speaking about this topic. It's a sensitive topic, and that's why we're not using your real name, because you're, like Dragnet. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. We just, well, we'd rather not say it, but you have to say it. You have to make it public, or you can't heal on the inside. And we can't worry about others, seeing this or figuring out who you are. You have to put your health before anyone else, right? They tell us, put your oxygen mask on first before you help your loved one with their mask. You agree with that?
Yes, I agree. And again, bringing up this one brother, I didn't want to be. I confided, and he said to me that the God, Spirit of the Lord told him to be comforting with this person, not say anything about where they're going or where they're at. That he just reminded the gal, his friend, to trust in the Lord, and more than anything, just be around the fellowship and be around, worship the Lord, and learn more about the Lord and what He has. Focus on what God has done, and that really helped him also.
Well, I thank you so much for coming on the podcast and talking about this very difficult topic. I know many people will be helped by your words, by your advice, by your story. So any last words before we sign off?
No, thank you. What a relief. Thank you.
Feel better? A little better?
We're
like
going
you
to
got
stop
something off your chest?
Yeah, especially, yes, thank you.
Now, the devil has a lot of power when we have secrets. It's like when you see a big rock outside and you lift the rock up. What do you see? You see all these creepy things, and they all scatter because the light shined on it. We've got to shine light on the dark places in our life so that God can bring the sunlight and heal the hurt.
Yes.
God bless you, John Doe, and you take care of yourself, and I'll be praying for you for a complete and total healing.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.